Yeah. Yeah, so for what I'm about to show you, this is going to be, well, at Salesforce we call it community, but this is, I think, what we talked about as a portal. So this would be a front end where your customers could potentially come not only to raise cases, but access knowledge articles and also track cases. So what I'm showing you, this community, this is actually the latest and greatest in regards to our community feature. So what I'm about to show you was actually created with what we call drop and drag technology. I actually don't code myself, so I will show you a bit of the back end, but I wanted to show you kind of this customer's possible experience with this community. So I am logged in as Larry Baxter. He is a known customer. He's raised cases in the past. So what we've done is we've created a bit of this community experience. The first thing I'll highlight for you up here at the top, there is a global search. So if at any point Larry wanted to search, he can start to type anything about his question or issue. And what I will highlight for you here in the search results, it's displaying not only articles which could be procedures or FAQs or anything else that you want to surface to this community, but it's also surfacing discussions that other community members or other customers have had on this particular issue. So if I look here, for example, what's the proper disposal of a used projector lamp? So this is a community thread. This is a question that someone had posed. It's a customer that came in, and then other customers have chimed in, right? And you can see here was the initial question, and then there were two other customers that actually provided input, and then the initial person that asked the question actually selected one of these as the best answers. So a lot of customers consider this community experience in the interest of case deflection and really self-help, right? And so this is a bit about that, how that community experience would work. Now, if I look at, for example, if I look at the article, so the article could be procedures or FAQs that you seed into your knowledge base that you can now expose out to these community members, these customers. So you'll see here is an article about replacing the lamp in your projector, and you'll see here it's a bit of a step-by-step instructions. In the knowledge base, you can embed video tutorials, video links, so you'll see that's here. And then you'll see here at the bottom, if this article still didn't meet his need, he could either ask a question which would push this out to the community for others to ask, or he can contact support, which I'm going to walk you through that thread in just a second. Okay. Just a few other things about the community that I wanted to highlight. You can see the community if there are specific topics, conferences, events, geographies, things that you want to organize your customers around. You can seed those with specific topics. So you'll see there's a drop down here with these topics. I've also created tiles that the users can click on. Some customers know specific topics that they want to push out to their customers. Sometimes the topics organically come about because you start to see certain customers swarm around certain concepts or ideas, and then you could create that. This is also a bit of a recommendation. So if you have an upcoming event, or if you have a new procedure document or a new way to engage with BidPal, you can kind of seed these events or recommendations. And then there's also gamification. So this is new in this community experience. I think it was launched in October at Dreamforce last year. But essentially, as your community, as your customers interact with each other, as they respond to questions, as they receive things like best answer, they'll be awarded points, and you could assign and weigh different actions around points, and you could even assign titles. That way they can work towards those titles as they're interacting in the community. So let me just pause for a second. There's a few more things I wanted to cover. I wanted to show you how Larry would access his cases, and obviously we'll contact support. But any initial thoughts or comments? This is kind of that community experience, that portal experience for your customers.
I'm just wondering how easy it is for agents to administer this. How organic is it? How do you monitor it? How do you monitor content? How do you monitor what customers are saying? Like if you're moderating, how do you ensure the content is good and appropriate and, you know, responses? That's always one of my questions about communities.
So
Okay.
it's Travis Buckley here. Is that James or is that John? Sorry.
That was James.
James, sorry, I was a little bit late coming in. We're in a QBR session on our side here. So I missed the first part of this, but as soon as the demo started, I've been on the call. The adoption and the way in which we're starting to see customers respond to the community, it's by establishing the purpose that they're there. If I'm going there to review my contract, if I'm going there to see information, there has to be a first mover in getting me to arrive at this community. Once I arrive there and I start to explore some of these ancillary aspects of the community, so now I have this discussion board, I can look at all these different areas, but the first mover is how do we get people there? If it's contract data, if it's this, it's creating best practices around bringing people there. And there's been a lot of content and a lot of best practice shared internally at our company around how we're doing that. And I can share some of that content with you around how we're creating buzz around a community and how we're driving adoption through creating a single best practice.
Yeah, I just wonder, is the interaction in the community, like let's say these MVPs over here, when they're posting, you know, how do you monitor? I'm just trying to kind of get an idea for the efficiency.
Yeah.
You know, we're not a large company, so we try to have our agents well versed and trained in multiple types of things.
Yeah.
And so I would want, you know, I want the moderator to have like a queue maybe, or, you know, queue by topics, or, you know, maybe there's, you know, the discussions or certain forums that they can monitor, and they just kind of go into their standard Service Cloud queue, so they know they're triggered. They don't have to sit there and watch, but if certain, maybe there are tags that they're looking for, or certain comments, and it initiates them to go interact. You know, just, I'm thinking about efficiency. I don't want them to sit there all day and just keep needing to check, but to be alerted.
We can create that type of alert system. I don't know how well you folks are using Chatter today in your organization, but we're gonna scale that as we need to. So there's things that are important to me that I want every notification that's coming into that board. Just like, you know, in my internal Chatter use. And then there's ones that I want a weekly digest, there's ones I want a monthly digest, and then there's ones I don't want to hear about at all. So for the folks that maybe at the very beginning, and the scenario that we're talking about here, that's running in the community. There's the crawl, walk, run, getting to a point where we're having our customers interact with one another. That's a run scenario. And we're going to want to monitor that, at least at the very beginning, very closely to every single post that we're creating that buzz around it.
Sure, and this is Bruce. So I think what you want to see is the community workspace. So this is Larry, he's a customer. So obviously he's interacting with you in regards to knowledge base and cases. But what I'll show you the internal view, which has a section for communities called workspaces. So some of the things that we incorporate in the workspace is monitoring the chat. So there's things like keyword search, number of chats. If someone posts maybe like 20 times in 30 seconds, that could be indicative of a bot, so it'll be blocked, right? So there's a whole section called Community Workspaces that allows you to monitor this, and you can also associate alerts to specific items, tags, keywords, that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy to show that to you. I will, if that's all right, I will just finish kind of Larry's experience. He's kind of our customer. I did want to highlight for you, there's a couple things up here. So Larry might be part of different community groups, right? So these are obviously just sample groups here, but you might organize your customers around geographies or particular types of nonprofits or particular sectors that they're interested in. So that way they can not only follow and dialogue with each other on issues, but they can follow topics around certain groups that they're part of. Here in support, so this is where Larry can actually monitor his cases. So you can see he has access to his cases, and if I click into a case record, he will see some of the details of the case. Now, Larry will have a profile in Salesforce, and the profile actually dictates the type of access he has. So obviously, as a customer, there are certain aspects of the case record that Larry won't see. There's internal comments and things like that. But his profile will actually dictate which elements you want to display for him to see. So you can see his case, it originated through an email. You can see the status, it has been closed. You can see the asset that he was aligned to that was part of the issue. So some of the information here. And then there is the ability to chatter. This is a collaboration tool. It's available in Salesforce, but it's also available in the community. So this is the ability to @mention other members. So here's someone at the service team for BidPal as just an example. So this is where that alert, we can automate parts of this based on the dialogue, but you could also have, direct messaging in regards to @mentions, for example. Okay, so I just wanted to show that kind of integration. That's part of the community and the collaboration as well. So you can see that Larry has access to his cases. He will also have access to any files that you want to make available to the customer. So if you know that there's certain topics that they organize around that are common, whether it's to all the community members or even by group. And then finally, ideas. So understanding how the community is doing, how are the customers perceiving your interaction with the community? You can allow them to provide feedback in regards to ideas and have them actually vote and weigh in on these ideas. You can review them to see maybe you want to look to incorporate a new feature or a new action button based on this type of feedback. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So around the community part and sort of the help desk, the available information that's out there, is there opportunity here for locking sections down to perhaps paying customers or sort of like a, premium content or university type setting so that we have one section that's allowable for the general public and then some sort of like a single sign-on or profile changes that would allow people into additional information if they paid for it?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to handle that. There's part of the community you can make non-authenticated, meaning it's just open to the public, right? So I'm logged in as Larry, which means I'm allowing Larry to see any cases that he's raised. But you can certainly, in the interest of case deflection, make a site unauthenticated and allow certain aspects of it to be viewed by any customer just coming to the community if you have common FAQs that you want to push out. After that, when you then want to identify the user and pursue the authenticated route, you can create different profiles based on the level of access you want to provide to that customer. So you might have just the simple customer case profile, right, which you can raise and track cases, but then there might be the next level, so there's tiering. There might be the next level profile where you want to give them access maybe to the associated event or something, but that would be based on the profile, and it's certainly accommodating in this community.
Yeah.
So if we in the profile have like basic support and premium support profile could be viewing additional articles and community sections that the basic cannot.
I mean, that's the exact use case. It's really a segmentation or tiering model that makes sense. So Premier Support would definitely be one of those profiles that we could create. And the same skill set that you have today using Salesforce, meaning when you're developing, let's say, a sales process in Salesforce and you create a profile for your sales team, it's the same skill set. You would be creating profiles, but in this case for your customer users.
There was a scenario, we had a customer where we ran through a communities side, and so as they were entering into their sort of main homepage on the community, they did have a tiered model where the first tier of basic support would have the information on the right hand side of their community page for their 1-800 line, their basic 48-hour turnaround support line, etc. Now, if they were a tier 1 or tier 2 or a premium status, on the right-hand side, they had a dedicated reps number. They had a dedicated name. They had more built-out information. They could see profiles of who their account executive was, who their sales engineer was, who their support rep was, who the RM was, and seeing actual data around those people, as opposed to that basic general support line where you've got number and access to a 1-800 line and a standard support queue email. It was pretty slick.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's kind of along the lines of what I'm thinking. In addition to, I guess, access to additional articles or premium information that we wouldn't necessarily just give to anybody. Like
Right.
not just like contact information, but how-tos or training materials or something like that.
Yeah, I'm we're envisioning this idea of I walk into this condo that's set up for me specifically, where I know where everything is. I've got my concierge at speed dial as I need them. Everything's set up for me specifically to go and do it, and it's very comfortable because I know I'm seeing pictures of the people that I'm going to be interacting with. Best case scenario, I've got a FaceTime button where I'm pulling those people up and chatting with them in real time. That all of that stuff is extremely possible with our technology. The only challenge that we establish at that point is just how do we scale that so that the second that I hit that FaceTime button, somebody's answering the phone.
Mm-hmm.
How do we put those people in place? The technology is going to allow for you to do whatever you want and however your customer wants to interact with you. It's about setting up the scaling measures of people at that point in order to facilitate the process.
I assume with a chat, it goes into a queue, right? If we have sort of a work group of people taking chats, that it would queue up if they're not available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. That's correct. So I did go ahead and I did select contact support. What I wanted to do is just highlight the channels in regards to how cases would come into your agents. In this case, I am on your customer site here, profile with Larry, and so it knows who Larry is, right? So it's not asking me for anything like his email because it knows it has Larry in the system already. So just a couple of things I'll highlight for you here. One, you'll see knowledge is actually surfaced here on the right-hand side, and knowledge will, as the user starts to type LAMP issue, you'll see that the information here will start to reflect information. So this information will start to reflect the answers as I'm typing. Let me do that. Issue my LAMP. And so what it does, as I'm typing out the subject in this description, it's going to refresh that page, and it's going to highlight, again, in the interest of deflecting the case, even though the user is now typing, trying to reach customer support, it will still surface knowledge articles based on what they're typing. Okay. In this case, Larry can also add attachments. So if he had a picture or a receipt or something that he wanted to add, he can certainly do that here. So I'm going to submit this so you can see how this channel would work in regards to submitting a case from the community. You see, I do have an agent on hand at the moment. I did set them to available, and so that's why this green chat is available. So let me submit this first, right, so that you can see. Thank you for submitting, and you'll see here that Larry was now presented back with core information about his case, and now he can track the status of this case as it gets worked on. The other scenario I wanted to show you was that live chat option, right? So if he looked at the article did not meet his need, and in lieu of sending an email, let's say he actually wanted to chat with an agent, so he can launch this chat here, and this will launch that chat window, okay? And so this is what the unauthenticated view would look like. So I'm going to add Larry's name, Larry Baxter. Baxter.
I think, I don't know if it's frozen or I'm not seeing any additional information.
Yep, sorry about that. Here we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, sorry, it was a pop-up. Issue with my LAMP. So this pop-up can be customized as well. So obviously you may want to consider branding options and incorporating some themes here. Kevin and I do have some material on that, some best practices that we can share with you if that was an interest. So I'm going to request a chat here. And so this is actually going to go internally to my agent who's on hand. So I'm actually going to go ahead and accept that for the moment. I will show you the internal view in just a second so you can see what this looks like. But I have an agent, the agent's on hand, and they've now accepted. And what you're seeing there is that was auto-populated, right? So Tim, service agent, accepted the chat request, and you could see Larry, as your customer, got an automatic hello, how can I help you today? So that's kind of a standard text to get the conversation started right away. So I'm going to follow both of these threads. I'm going to follow the thread where Larry submitted a case, but also show you what that chat looks like internally. I did kind of want to finish the community piece for you, if that's okay, before we go internal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. The other channel that is incorporated here, if Larry, in lieu of chat or submitting a case, if Larry posted a question to the community, and if that question went unanswered for, let's say, 12 hours or 24 hours, you can automate the case creation around that community question. You really don't want any questions going unanswered, possibly, and so if no other community member responds, it'll create a case to go into your queue.
Okay.
I'm going to log out as Larry. So, oh, go ahead.
I have a question actually about logging in. So if you're Larry, is there opportunity here for using single sign-on so that we can have our customers using the same credentials they use to log into our software?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can show you where that is. I'm going to log out now, and I'm going to log in as my internal user here. Let's go into audio files. Okay. So now you'll see I'm logged in as Bruce Dury, and I'm an administrator, right? And so I actually have more options than Larry did, obviously, right? So I'm going to have access to what are called the community workspaces. So, I'm really excited about the community workspaces because this really just came out in one of our last releases. And this is really giving you all the tools that you need to manage your community. And when I mentioned earlier that it was really built around clicks, not code, this is really kind of where that happens. So I'll quickly touch on Builder. I'll touch on these two options for moderation and content targeting, and then also dashboards. So have you heard of Salesforce, the Lightning components? Are you familiar with that concept?
Yes, we've heard of it. I don't think
we're
we're on it yet.
We're not using it.
Well, the community I'm showing you is built on Lightning components, and you don't need to be on Lightning to use it. It's really just a new method for interacting with the Salesforce platform. So what you're seeing here, these are all Lightning components, and Lightning components are really just pieces of functionality that you can drop and drag onto the screen. So for example, you'll see here, if I hover over this discussion, this is a tab feature with different lists of items, right? And so kind of how this works, let's say, for example, I want Larry to be able to create a case directly from the home page. So if I go, I have a record create button. So here's a Lightning component for record create button. I'm going to drop and drag this onto the screen because maybe I want to make that case creation as easy as possible for Larry. So let's say we're going to name this new case, and we want to make sure that it aligns to the case object. Right, and now I'm going to save it. So what I've done in just a few quick steps is I've leveraged a Lightning component for a quick action button, and I've allowed Larry or any customer to create a case directly from the community. So this is what these components are, and the reason they're so powerful is, Salesforce has about 20 to 30 that are standard, but we also have partners building custom components. So, maybe you want a survey to embed onto the community, and Salesforce didn't actually build a survey component, but we have partners that have. And just like the App Exchange, they're available to download and integrate, and some are paid, some are free, and so that's how these would be integrated.
I just want to be clear. So if we're not using Lightning, I know it may look slightly differently, but is the drag and drop feature still there and it looks very similar to this, or is it different?
Yeah, no, it will look exactly like this, and you can stay internally on Classic. That's not a problem. When you launch the community for your customers, you're going to see exactly what I'm showing you, the ability to drop and drag components.
Okay.
All right. So we'll publish that, and that's going to push that change out to my community. So the other thing I wanted to show you then were around those community workspaces. We'll let this publish. So there's a couple other sections. There's moderation and content, and this is really where you would assign and weigh the different values. So if I come here to my menu option, so again, I can go to the community workspaces, or I can go directly to moderation or content targeting. So if I click on moderation, you'll see here, there's a bit of dashboard that comes out of the box. Now, I haven't been interacting within the community, so you'll see nothing's been flagged yet. But the idea here is that you can moderate and set rules around what you want flagged. So here would be the rules, for example, block profanity, flag negative sentiment, rate rules, new members, so freeze a member, notify if, for example, there was too many logins, there's potential for a bot. So you would create these rules, and then that would allow you to, in a more automated fashion, moderate your community. And I'm kind of going quickly, but I just wanted to at least convey the understanding that these tools do come out of the box for you to moderate your community. And then the content targeting here, this would be, again, where you organize around your topics. So you may have specific themes that you want to promote right away. Some may come organically, and you could push those out to your community in the form of recommendations, and then you seed them through the drop and drag technology. The dashboards, there are a whole series of dashboards that will help drive adoption. So these come out of the box. Again, I haven't been logging in. That's why you're not seeing a lot of data here. But these dashboard components come out of the box for you. So you have things like reporting options. You have an overview, how many new members have logged in the last 90 days. What do your file loads look like? Then there's dashboards for members. So, again, having the community, building a community that's easy to use, but then driving adoption. And these are really what the dashboards are meant to do, is really help you understand how to drive that usage. And then administration, this is where you have login and single sign-on options. So, what I like about the community, this is built on the Salesforce platform. So the same skill set that you have really managing Salesforce today is the same skill set that you'll need for this. So this is where you would go to enable those different types of single sign-ons for your customers. Okay. So that was really everything I wanted to cover on the customer community experience. Before we go internal, was there any thoughts or comments, anything else you would hope to see on the community side?
I just had a thought around chat regarding the way that we use it today. So today we have chat through interactive intelligence, which we can route to our client support work group or our sales work group. And there's actually quite a bit of success with the sales staff being able to chat live with people with basic questions as well about their package options. But our sales team would not be on Service Cloud. So I assume that chat through here is only going to go to people who are on service, correct?
Yeah, so that's correct. This is the chat component that would allow direct messaging to the agent. I just want to make sure I understand the use case. So it would be sales colleagues at BidPal chatting with customers. Is that the scenario?
Yeah, correct. So somebody who's maybe interested in BidPal for the first time, and instead of calling in wants just maybe a quick price comparison or want to know if we have particular features, they can just do a quick chat with our sales SDR team just to get some quick answers. And oftentimes they'll try to convert that into a phone call and a more in-depth conversation, but it's a good starting point.
I see. And so in some cases they can resolve the issue directly, and in others they might raise the case with their input to the agent?
Well, none of that really becomes a support or service thing. It's all a sales process.
I see.
I guess what I'm just, we would have to separate in order to chat to versus chat to sales.
Exactly. Yeah, this is Kevin here. I think, Bruce, what John is mentioning is if a customer goes on the website, there's some initial interest, they hit chat because they've got a few questions. Can we route it to the sales team because they've had some success with sales taking some chats and then converting that into a conversation and with more depth. But I think, Bruce, the way we did that is if they request live chat, they request, do you want to talk to sales or do you want to talk to support, right?
Yeah, correct. So there is skill-based routing. Skills could be anything. It could be product aligned, geo aligned, language aligned. I think the follow-up I have is to understand how Live Agent interacts with the Sales Cloud license, correct?
That would make sense from my end, yes.
Yeah.
But John, is that accurate? My summary of what you're looking for?
Yes. I'm sorry, I've got a guy mowing, so I had a hard time hearing what Bruce's last comment was. But I guess I just want to make sure, would we or would we not need two separate channels if our sales SDR team is not on Service Cloud and they still need to take inbound chat for sales-related questions? That would be a separate channel than where our customers would initiate a support chat request. Is that correct?
That I'd have to check on. Yeah, let me put that in the parking lot. I'm looking on. So go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, since the sales team isn't on Service Cloud and there's no plan for them to be, is this chat even relevant to them at all, or is that a separate product?
Yeah, so what license type would the SDRs or the sales team need in order to take inbound chats? Because I'm on your website right now and you hit the chat with us button and you've got, who do you want to speak with, sales or support, right? So, and you've had success with sales fielding some of those chats and converting those into opportunities, and I'm assuming close won deals, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so let me put that in the parking lot in terms of, let me figure out which license type who would need and how we would write that. Bruce is correct, we can do skills-based routing. I just have to double check if the SDR team and the sales team would need an additional license, like a live chat license, or if we just funnel it to them regardless. So I'll write that down and double check them.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Great, so what I'd like to do now is transition to the internal view. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Great. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is transition to an internal view. This would be an internal agent at BidPal. Tim's service is kind of my persona here. As I start to dive into kind of Tim's world, the channels that I've mentioned so far, there really was the case through the community. There's the live chat, which I'm going to show you. There's case creation from the community dialogue that happens between the customers. There are other case channels. You could automate the case creation from email, Gmail, or Outlook. I'll also show you a bit of CTI as well here. So I just wanted to highlight there are various channels that this information is coming in. So Tim's service, here is his homepage. I did want to highlight that collaboration feed. Are you using Chatter today? Do you know if you're using that on the sales side?
Yes, we're using it.
I think our Salesforce staff does, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the collaboration tool exists not just in the community, but also here in the service console. So I just wanted to highlight this because the collaboration tool is a theme that's throughout. And so you can see here, you can see that this is a transcript that came through the chat option that I was showing you just a second ago, but you can automate these alerts so that Tim can see them in his collaboration feed. This is a chat, this is an inbound call. I was kind of doing some demo work before our call, so you can see the activity here. But one of the powerful elements of this is really just the collaboration around different materials. So if you have no new procedure document that needs to be followed, or maybe there's an update on a specific event and you want to communicate that to all the agents, that information can be shared with them here as well. So the collaboration tool is pretty powerful in regards to not just collaborating on records, but you can also collaborate and share documents and also around different themes and topics. Okay. So I did want to highlight for you, this is the console. You can see that there is this drop-down. I've selected the drop-down items here that the service agent has access to. So these are different objects that represent functionality. So I'm going to click on the cases here. So this is really Tim agent seeing all of the cases. So you can see here I have the concept of a list view. The list view allows you to organize the cases by different types or fields that you have on the cases. In this case, I have all a list view for all open cases. You may have different tiering. So maybe Tim is in charge of all tier 1 queue cases. So you can see he can very easily select that list view. Now, list views are very easy to create. It's a very quick option of create new view. And what this does is it allows you to create, you can list it any name that you want, BidPal new list. And what you do is then you can select the different options in regards to owner. And then these are the fields. So any field on the case can be leveraged to create that list view. So if you know that you want all cases with a status of new, for example, I'm just going to insert that there. And then you could select the elements that you see on that grid view, and it's a very quick process to kind of save that list view. So again, this is this is Salesforce functionality that's extending to the Service Console, and it's very similar to what you might do in the sales world as well. Okay. So you can see here is that case that just came in from Larry. Right, so I actually created one a little earlier as well. Obviously, I was just making sure this worked for us today. What I wanted to do is I'll follow this case, but I'm also going to kind of show you that chat. So I'm going to show you, remember when Larry kind of asked, wanted to chat. So I'm going to kick that chat off again, so you can kind of see what this looks like. And you can see here in the bottom through this omni-channel pop-up, a new request is coming in. And Larry has his availability set to available, so he can now accept. So this case was routed to Larry, and he can now accept it. And by hovering over it, he can see some of the core details about where it's coming from, and he can now accept that chat. And what that does, it will automatically create a case, and you'll see here that dialogue is started in the upper right-hand side. Okay. Now, what's powerful about this, because we know Larry's name, we know his email, we know his phone number, it's actually pulling up Larry's account already. And that's important because it's actually saving the agent a lot of time in regards to understanding who is Larry, what has been our interaction with him. And so you can see here that message was automatically created through the chat window. So a few things I wanted to show you on the chat. So I'm on the customer site right now, and if I start to type, so you can see I've not hit enter yet, but this is what we call whispering. So you see how you can see I'm typing out. I've not clicked entered yet, but you can actually see what the user is typing before they click enter. So if maybe they want to go back, and this really also just saves a couple of seconds, if you will, but again, you can see kind of where he's going. I'm going to, for example, right? So you can see him typing before he actually hit enter, and now he hit enter. It's really all about that time-saving element. But right here, you have a number of different options as the agent to be able to service the customer. You can actually attach a file or record here. Through this, you can associate this to, so that maybe, for example, we want to make sure that this chat gets associated to a specific case. A contact, a lead. So this is, again, leveraging the Salesforce platform. So as you have relationships with individuals that are stored as contacts, and those contacts are part of businesses or nonprofits or organizations that you work with, they'll have a contact and an account. And so you can associate this information as an agent to any of those things. It will pull up automatically. So based on his phone number, it knows, but your agent has some flexibility here. So I've been throwing a lot at you. I do have more to get through, obviously, but I'll just stop to get some initial thoughts or comments.
Is this chat native to Service Cloud? Is it part of Service Cloud?
Sir, it is an additional add-on. Is that correct, Kevin? It's native to Service Cloud, but I believe it is an add-on.
That's correct. Yeah, I'll have a detailed license breakdown, but the live chat feature is just an add-on to the Service Cloud license.
Is there opportunity for, I know, so Larry Baxter was signed in prior to this. Is there any opportunity for case to be created from someone who's not signed in, or is that because it's great that it's pulling his information, but today we have anybody can email into our support email address and it'll create a ticket, and we may or may not know who they are. Is that something that can happen here too, or does it require them to log in first?
No, so what it will do, if the contact or account is not in your system or it couldn't find it, it will create the case, but then the agent has the option to create any of these items directly. You can actually create the case, you can create a new contact or create a new lead, depending on how you're using Salesforce. But this again would be just creating a record on that platform that everyone would leverage, and these are the tools that they would have to do that.
And where would you collect Larry's information from if he was anonymous to begin with? Just upon the actual interaction with him, or can you request that up front to say, you're not logged in, but what's your email address and phone number? And then if they're not logged in, would it then still automatically recognize him based on that information?
Yeah, so you have different options. So I do know that some customers try to keep to a minimum the amount of information a user needs to enter, right? They want to just get enough to understand who they are, but not too much to scare them away. So on the website, you can keep that as minimum as you need. So maybe name and email, and that'll come in, and then the agent would need to fill out the rest. Or if you make additional fields required, those will auto-populate as well. And we have the concept of self-registration. So meaning someone comes to your site, you can allow them to self-register as a customer. That'll be automated, and it'll automatically create a contact record and allow them access to the community with a community profile. So there's different actions depending on how much information you want to require up front.
Got it.
So I'll go ahead and end this chat. There are a few other features here on the live chat. So I can obviously, I can transfer this to another agent. I can send the chat conference invitation to another colleague. Maybe I need a different skill set that's not available. There's the option to block users. I'm not sure how frequently that's used, but it is there. And then you could also request assistance, maybe escalate to a manager. And those features are all right here on that chat. I'm going to end the chat. So that was kind of that chat I wanted you to be able to see. So down here, you have some productivity tools in the corner here. The omni-channel, this is where Tim can set his availability. So when the customer was on the website and they saw that Tim was available, that chat window was highlighted as green to mean available. That's really, this is where Tim is setting his availability, right? We also recently acquired the ability to send SMS text to case as well. So that wasn't something I was going to show you today, but I wanted you to know, we continue to invest in the Service Console, and this is the latest acquisition and service that we're now integrating, and it's available as text to case.
I'm just going to interrupt really quick, Bruce. I've got an interesting story about the SMS case management. So we had a manufacturing company, so not exactly similar to BidPal, but manufacturing company recently redo their entire service department, and they did the SMS rollout. And as soon as it went live, they started to get these incoming texts to case, saying, "Hey, is anybody there? Hey, I've got a problem with my my machine." And they thought internally it was the team doing the implementation testing it. Turns out people were texting their 1-800 line anyways, not knowing if they had it or not, requesting support. So there are people out there likely texting your 1-800 line right now for support just to see if anyone answers. So it's an interesting aside, but I'm not sure if that's on your roadmap, but I thought it'd be interesting to share that with you.
It is, and probably equally as important for the several hundred service staff that we have, who are, they're fairly mobile when they're on site at their events, and often we're trying to reach them via text. So it's something that is more important to us. Is that SMS feature a part of the Service Cloud, or is that also additional?
That's also an additional license.
Okay.
Great. So that was kind of the chat. What I did want to show you is we had that case that we submitted from the community as well. So again, it was from Larry Baxter. So you can see the layout is slightly different. It's still the console view, right? So, but instead of the chat window here, because it originated from the community, you can see the case was automatically created from that community, from our Larry, our user, and you can see all the core detail information is here. It was automatically associated to both his contact and to his account. So we have an account for Larry. You can create queues to align your work, and the queues can be based off of really anything that's on the case. It could be the channel, so maybe all cases coming from a community with a certain profile will be tier 1. That type of information can be housed. So some of the information that you're seeing here, the idea would be to provide your agent with all the tools that they need here, right in the center of the console. So I'll cover a few of those. And on the right-hand side, we have concepts milestones. So if you have different service level agreements that are associated to whether it's a queue or a type of case, you can kind of get that milestone so that so that the agent kind of knows kind of what they need to do in regards to a time frame to resolve that. And then knowledge integrates here as well. So again, it is leveraging keywords based in the subject or the description to serve up the agent with relevant knowledge articles right at their fingertips. So some of the actions, there is the email option. So obviously the agent can email directly from the case record. So there's a few things here. You can see that this is, it kind of insert a draft of a template. We did talk about macros. I'm a big fan of macros. So macros are really great time savers. I think you're both familiar with macros. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So you can see here, what I do like the format. So you can see if I click on this product return, it actually walks me through the different steps that the macro is going to take. And then it's really just a matter of clicking this run button to execute the macro. But it does line up each of the actions here so you can see them. And it's a very simple process to create new macros. But this is a great time saver, obviously, to insert those macros. And then there are hotkey options as well. So I believe the hotkey option I have here was it's semicolon, semicolon research. So you can see here the two semicolons is what is triggering the hotkey, and research is my keyword that's giving me these two options to quickly put in text. Okay. Obviously, I have the option here to create different templates. So there is a default template in here. But again, if I look at, let's see, all of my templates, I have a bunch here that I can leverage. So that's to ensure consistent messaging, consistent branding. You can also add attachments here as well. And you could even insert articles, email as a PDF, attach an email with the HTML. So you have various options here to really fill that email out. So you can see, it really is, with the concept of keeping the agent's work as streamlined as possible, whether it's a macro, a hotkey, being able to leverage a template or insert knowledge articles right away. And sending this email will add this to the history. I believe I can send it because that's not a real email, but you'll see this will now be tracked so the agent has a full insight into the history in regards to how someone's been interacting with this customer.
Do you have anything in here, in Zendesk they call them automations, but they're similar to setup, just like macros, but they're behind the scenes sort of logic where, let's say you've got this ticket in a pending status and you're waiting on a customer reply, it will automatically send them a reminder after X number of days so that the support agent doesn't have to keep filtering through their tickets and manually typing stuff. It's just sort of automatically happening. Do you have anything like that in here?
Yeah, so it's actually part of the Salesforce platform. It's called Process Builder. I could show you what that looks like, but essentially you look to automate certain activities, record creates, updates. So any field on the case can be leveraged. So for example, if a case comes in with a tier 1 support, you can say automatically associate this article to it or automatically update it with the status. So yeah, that's done through Process Builder. And the good news is in regards to skill set and managing that, so the same skill set you have on the Salesforce platform today would be the same skill set that would leverage this in Process Builder.
Okay, and is there any limitations to the number of automations or macros that can be applied in here based on license?
So I'm not sure if it's based on license. I'll take that as a follow-up item. So if I understand, you're really just looking, what are your full limits in regards to how many macros or how many automated workflows can you create, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I briefly looked at Desk, and one thing that stood out to me was that there were limitations on those type of features, and some of the things we've done in Zendesk, we would have already exceeded those limits.
Yeah, I will definitely take a look. I'm looking at the macro information now. Yeah, so yeah, I understand the question. It's really just understanding, so ideally, how many of these macros can you create? Are there any limitations? And then corresponding on the workflow side and Process Builder, what are your options there? Yeah, I'll take that as a follow-up. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you have a number of different options. Some of our customers work to book appointments, create work orders. I don't believe that's your use case, but you can have the agent post to the community directly from the case as well. So when I was showing you the agent, the Chatter collaboration, Chatter, that collaboration tool obviously allows your internal BidPal colleagues to communicate with each other. That is not fully exposed to the community. And what I mean by that is, community members won't see internal collaborations. And so your agent actually has the ability to collaborate with the community directly through this tab here. You can also tag to specific individuals. So this would be the internal chatter. So maybe Steven Service is maybe my manager. So this is the difference between the community. If you want to post out to the community, again, to maybe inform a number of customers at once, you can do that, or you can post to your manager, please see this issue. Again, and that will now alert my manager, Steven, that, on his chatter feed, he's going to see this. He'll also get a notification and an alert. Just a few other things. Log a call, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Escalate would be to my manager if I wanted to share this information. This record and all of its open screens would be shared with my manager. And finally, I really like this feature. This is create an article. So if you have agents, and let's say they are going through an issue that they've seen a number of times, and they want to create a knowledge article based on how they're responding and resolving that issue, so it can be reused. They can do that directly from the case as well. From here, so these were all the actions that are available that I wanted to share with you. And you can see here, this is that full thread of activity, again, giving the agent everything they need to know. If I toggle here, so this is that record, so the Salesforce platform really promotes that master record concept. So you have one record for Larry in your system, and you can see here is Larry's account, and this is his contact. So the reason this is valuable is when you're working and trying to keep data as clean as possible and do things like roll up and understand, well, how many cases has Larry had open. So if I click on Larry, you'll see here I have a contact record for Larry, and Larry actually has let's see, 5 cases. Oh yeah, because I've been creating a few here. But really, that's that master record concept, right? Being able to associate not just the service activity, but sales also understands, okay, wow, my contact Larry at that account has been leveraging our support. And so this is just additional insight that all of your colleagues will benefit as they're whether pursuing new sales or servicing an existing account. And let me just see here on my list. So
we see, so just a question on the view of I guess the organization. So if we have a nonprofit and they have 3 or 4 administrators that have called us, how can we see the view of the number of cases that they've submitted as an organization over time, what their satisfaction has been. I'm assuming I saw that customer experience survey rating down there on one of your templates. And that's really the question I would want to see is show me the top 10 and the bottom 10 organizations in terms of their activity and their satisfaction with cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe the better use case for me to show would be instead of at Larry himself, at the account level for Larry. So the account level is really where you can have multiple contacts. So let's see here. Maybe I need another. Let me go to a nonprofit. Let me go to accounts. And let me pick, let's go to Acme Partners. So at the account level is really where you may have multiple contacts. So if I look at the related list for my Acme Partners, I actually have 4 contacts. I have Adam, Joyce, Paul, and Sarah. And so each of these rolls up to Acme. And as part of this, I can actually now look to see, if I look at Adam, I'll see any cases that have been associated. Now, Adam doesn't have any cases, but the idea of the roll up here is that anyone associated to Acme Partners as a contact, I can now see any cases that are associated to an individual. And I think of it as a roll up report, really, because you're rolling the case up to the contact, which is associated to an account. Let me see. Let me try United Partners. I think United Partners has some.
And it's becoming more important as we get larger and we get more nonprofits. We want to be able to prioritize in terms of size and scale of the customer, and then also triaging where we're engaging with the top 10, and we're also knowing who is struggling.
Yeah, and here's a much better view. So to that point, United Partners, I have 5 contacts, so you can see those individuals here. You can actually expose the case on the account as a related list. So you can see here are, Lauren actually raised 4 cases and Bob raised 1. And this is where you can roll that up and not only understand who raised the case, but you can aggregate total number of cases for United Partner by status, time it took to resolve the case. Any information that you capture on that case record itself can now be rolled up because you have that hierarchy structure from case to contact to account. Right, and some accounts might have, so there's the concept of an entitlement or a service agreement, or, so if you have, let's say, an account that is one of your top nonprofits, and you might want to designate them as a premium service account. Well, if one of those contacts submits a case, whether it's through the community or chat, we'll now know that that user is part of a premium service account. So you can designate that directly to a tier 1 queue for someone to look at. And that's really the power of the platform here. It's leveraging the information that you're capturing on the contacted accounts to now better service your customers.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a way to, just a question related to that premium, where is the SLA compliance noted for that? So if they're premium, we have certain SLAs, does it show if we're in compliance or not?
Yeah, so Salesforce has a section called entitlements, where that information is generally stored. I believe it's a standard object. I'll have to confirm, but I believe entitlements is a standard object. So if I click on the premium service entitlement, there's also a record to capture all of the details about that specific premium service type. Right, so you can see that per the entitlement, there are milestones that are associated to that particular entitlement type, and this is then factored into how the case is serviced, obviously, because that type of entitlement will dictate maybe a different SLA, different escalation, or a different queue. And here you are seeing the contacts that are associated to this entitlement, right? So because Bob and Lauren are both part of United Partners, and United Partners is part of the premium service, any cases that they raise will automatically route as a premium service entitlement. And again, you can leverage that for your workflows.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure. And I think one other item Kevin and I were talking about really was just the phone integration. So you'll see here, I've been covering a different pieces of these functionality, right? We had the macros, the omni-channel, so the agent can alert when they're available. There is telephone integration capabilities. So I just kind of have this, so you kind of see what this would look like. And based on the telephone, the number is actually the key identifying feature here, right? So based on the phone number coming in, we know that that phone number is associated to Lauren, so it's going to pull her record up immediately so that the agent can see everything about Lauren right away, and we can see Lauren actually has already 5 cases open. She might be calling about one of these cases. She might be wanting to create a new case, but really just wanted to highlight that telephony integration for you as well. And you'll see here, I didn't know if this was, if you've noticed this earlier, but there is the concept of tabs and sub-tabs of how your agents can organize their work. So anytime I'm on a record, so Lauren, I'm on her contact record, it's all, you know, you can see I can toggle back and forth between her account. So she's related, this is her actual business that she works for, and this is her actual contact profile. Again, the idea is to give your agent everything they need to really expedite their work. I think
what would happen if an unknown phone number called in? Would it automatically just pop a new case open, or is that up to the agent to decide what happens next?
Yeah, so you can actually set the default even for Lauren. You notice how I pulled up her contact. If you prefer, each phone could automatically create a case, whether it's a known or unknown number. If it's an unknown number, the agent will have the same plus symbol to either create a lead or a contact.
And that just made me think of something else. Are you able to merge, let's say we start a new case and then find out that it's pretty much the same as the previous one she had, and maybe a different agent took it. Are you able to merge cases together?
You are. I just need to figure out where that, you can definitely merge. I've used this as a customer myself. Let me just confirm the exact steps to do that. So you can definitely merge, because part of the platform here is keeping the data as clean as possible. So I'll just get those steps for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's eluding me at the moment.
And what I've seen is that if we have 2 cases about the same thing that are assigned to 2 different agents, we're talking to the customer more than once when we don't need to, and we want to avoid that.
I think that makes perfect sense. I think the last thing I did want to kind of share with you, I wanted to just at least confirm that this, this is available mobile as well. So what I wanted to do now is just quickly show you, I have, instead of an agent, I have a manager up now. So hopefully you can now see, I have my mobile phone here.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you see there is an alert. So if you remember, when I was an agent, I did submit a post to my manager. So as the manager, whether you're desktop or mobile, you have access to all of your Salesforce. Right? So here, this would be, any, if they have access to cases, accounts, any feature you have in Salesforce can be accessed here. Those same list views, all cases, my cases, all those list view options are available here. Right, so here's that same tier 1. Here's a case that I looked at recently. Right, here are the details of that case. So you can see all of the same details that the agent is seeing directly from your mobile phone. The Salesforce platform, whether it's sales or service, we design with mobile in mind. So this is really part of that core platform function. And here's what that notification would look like. So you'll see that Tim Service did mention me, so I can go ahead and look at this issue to see, exactly, what did he said? Please see this issue. I have a hyperlink right here to the case. I can look at it, and you'll see here's a bit of the feed, so I can see what's been going on. Here are the details of the case, maybe related information. So here's the contact, Larry. Here's his account. So Tim has, the manager has access to all of that. And if I look at, let's see, oh, I can update the status, yep. If I look at my options here, I could also do dashboards and reporting. So if I come here, this is available on the mobile phone as well. So you have options to expose this to your agents as well. So here's a bit of that customer satisfaction, input from that survey that comes back. This is a gauge that we created for that. Here's response times for my cases, a bit of the SLA compliance. So really just trying to, again, show you not just the manager's view, but mobile capabilities and also reporting options. So I covered a lot of information. I think I'll just I'll kind of pause there, get your thoughts, comments. If there was anything else that you were hoping to discuss, please let us know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what I've seen so far. Go ahead, John.
Sorry. I was just saying, as far as the things that we've seen so far, I think that we've pretty well covered all the things that we mentioned that we wanted to see.
Okay. So great. So Kevin, are you on mute?
Yeah, Bruce. Yeah, thanks very much. So, James, John, it's been a long kind of demo, and we did show you a lot, but the first place we usually like to start after we show you all this stuff is how did we do?
I think it's really powerful. It's clearly the strength is the integration, just the familiarity with the environment and how things work, because we're in Salesforce. And so I'm just processing in my mind many things, questions that I have about where the most critical aspects are, the value of the integration versus the value of the interface. I would say that the Zendesk UI is a bit easier and maybe natural for agents. Just from what I see, it's not like night and day, but it's just my impression. I'm happy in Salesforce. I use it all the time. Our agents not so much. So there is kind of this easy, kind of addictive user interface there that one of the challenges has always been in this space, getting people to use the system, like with anything, and getting them to be in there all day, updating tickets and making it easy. So there's a slight edge there, I think. But the integration is powerful, and the dashboarding, as I mentioned early on, and I think I put that in the Quip article also. So that's what we really have to think about. I can't give you conclusive anything, but John and I need to think and digest probably offline and reflect on what we've seen.
Well, that makes sense, and that's completely fair feedback. I think from my end, I've got a few parking lot items that I'm going to get back to you with as well. The first of which was communities. So how easy is it to administer? Best practices around driving adoption. How do you monitor it? We went into the communities workspace, but did you want more documentation or resources around communities adoption and best practices?
I think I'm okay. I mean, I see how easy it is to set it up. It looks very usable. It's integrated. I think it's that'd be a big kind of lift and move over migration, because we do have a lot of content in our current knowledge base, which is kind of a mixture of knowledge base and communities a bit. We don't have full communities turned on, but the knowledge base does have an aspect of liking and commenting and things like that. The question I had, Kevin, I did see a kind of a license number. It looked like $1,800 a year per user. Is that additive if I'm currently already a user on the current platform on the sales side? Opportunities, contacts, and custom. We obviously have some custom objects and force.com development. So whatever the full license is there, if that's X, is the Service Cloud X plus Service Cloud, or is there some merged price for that?
Right. So that brings me to the third parking lot item I had was the detailed license and cost breakdown, right? So we'd have to take a look at everyone that would need access to Service Cloud. So if you've got, I think there were 10 or 15 users that are on Sales Cloud right now that would need Service Cloud functionality. So that would just be whatever their cost is now. It'd be the delta between that and the 1,800. Keep in mind, 1,800 is worst case scenario. When we're talking about the volume that you're looking at migrating from Zendesk to Salesforce, we can get into some pretty significant discounting just based on the volume. But we need a detailed breakdown of who's on Zendesk right now and only on Zendesk that would be moving to Service Cloud, and then who's in Salesforce right now that would be needing access to all of the Service Cloud information. So the cases, the dashboards, the community, the knowledge, the live chat, stuff like that. I think it'd probably make the most sense for me to do my digging on all of these features and the associated costs, come back to you guys with what the worst case price is for all of them. And then if you could come with a detailed user breakdown, so we have some real numbers, that would be the best way to give you actual pricing to say this is what you're really looking at.
The other thing we need to keep in mind is that we do have wide swings in volume and ticket volume, and therefore the number of users and agents. And so it doesn't make sense for us to have a full year license charge for maybe 60% of the agents that work for 6 to 7 months out of the year. So we need to know if there's some kind of a concurrency or turn on, turn off. So we tend to gravitate more towards those kinds of software platforms nowadays, now that we understand our business better. And some of the newer ones like Lessonly, for example, has a really great licensing structure like that, understanding and knowing that training goes in waves. That's a training LMS platform. And for us, the amount of questions and interaction with our customer goes in waves on the Service Cloud side. Sales obviously has their own pushes and campaigns, but for them, that it's pretty well continuous year round. But on the service side, it's pretty dramatic in the volume difference.
Yeah, so that is another item. I'm going to have to chat with Travis around that to figure out, how do we get creative to match the seasonality of BidPal's support ecosystem, to not give you a blanket license cost for the entire year when those licenses might just be sitting there collecting dust for 6 out of 12 months. So that's something I'll connect with Travis on, and we'll put our heads together and figure out, how do we reflect in a pricing structure the seasonality of BidPal's support business.
Yeah, it'd be great if there was just kind of an activate or enable feature that that could be turned on, and then that also tied into some kind of concurrent number of users that we're paying for also.
Okay. I've got that written down as I'll debrief with Travis, and we'll try and figure that out. The other items I just want to confirm with you so that there isn't anything that we miss. The live chat feature. So do the SDRs or sales team need Service Cloud licenses, or do they need to add on live chat? We'll figure that out for you as well.
Okay.
The license limitations. So how many workflows, how many macros can we have with Service Cloud? Are there limits? If so, how many? And then the visibility question. You want to see the top 10 and bottom 10 organizations in terms of their satisfaction with cases. Did we show you that to your satisfaction, or did you want some further clarity on that.
Well, I just want to understand what's involved to get there. Is it already? I mean, there's a reason why Gainsight exists, what I don't know is what does Salesforce have that we already own, that if we bring Service Cloud in, the client success team just says, hey, we don't need to buy another product. And as a company, then we say, hey, we don't need to buy another product. We're just going to bring Service Cloud over. And with the dashboard and the native kind of visibility that's there, we already have it. So it would be one product instead of three, Gainsight, Salesforce, Zendesk. So, I mean, I know Gainsight's a partner and that's fine and good, but for us, we're not necessarily looking to get three products where we already have two. It'd be great to go to one.
Right. So if and where there are overlaps between Gainsight and Service Cloud, and if you can consolidate, great. If not, where the disconnection is.
Yeah, because we don't own Gainsight today. We're just evaluating the future of where we go with the customer success team. And one of the issues is that they don't have a current temperature reading, roll up of, volume of questions, content, tickets, satisfaction. That they're looking to get more of that, and so we either need to build that and send it across to Salesforce from Zendesk, or we need to have Gainsight, or we need to have Salesforce and Service Cloud together.
Yep. Okay. Okay, and then entitlements. Where do we see the SLAs associated with the customer? I've got that as a parking lot item. Did we show you that to your satisfaction, or is that something you'd like a deeper dive on?
I saw it, and I see how it works. It looks to be kind of native in Salesforce, and I know we use the concept of entitlements today. So using that would just make it easier for us to know who's premium and who's basic. So I think we're okay on that.
Okay. And then how to merge cases. We'll definitely show you how to do that. I think from what I'm hearing from Bruce, it's absolutely doable. We just need to demonstrate it for you. So we'll do that. So, and then that brings me kind of to my last point. This can be an iterative demonstration process, right? So this isn't the be all end all. If you guys want, we're happy to build a customized relevant demo so that when we show you, if we show you Service Cloud again, it's exactly how it would look and function for BidPal. Is that something you think would help in this process, or what do you think the next best step is?
Yeah, I think so. We need to circle back on those points on the one I mentioned, getting a view for the interested parties who want to see what's going on in service. That's pretty important. We don't have that today, and so what we would get with Salesforce and Service Cloud, would we get that view? And it might be a series of 3 or 4 dashboards that are kind of, best practices or templates that we just have to turn on. So that, to me, that's a really important interaction point between the departments. That would be great to achieve. It'd be a great win if we can get that. So I think that's important to see. How you create a ticket, I think we've seen that, and that's just something we have to reflect on. I don't know if we're going to have detailed questions. I don't know, John, do you have any other thoughts?
One thing that I would love to see, it's of lesser importance than what you just brought up, but you gave us a brief glimpse of the phone integration, but I would love to see from an administrative side how easy it is to set that up. Like, how do we turn it on, request a number or buy a number, and then the steps to route that number. It doesn't have to be in, a really deep dive, but just to see kind of that process, how easy it is.
Sure. So the setup process around the telephone integration, you know, how you go from 0 to 100 to where it's that engine that's just humming in the background.
Right. Like, is it as simple as, you know, we have a subscription to the phone part, and we literally just turn it on and request some numbers and then assign them to groups, or, you know, I just kind of want to see that in the basic form.
Sure. Okay. Okay, so why don't we do this? We showed you a lot today, so, you know, go back and maybe internalize the demo today. I've got a recording of it too, and I'm happy to share that with you guys.
Well, that'd be great, actually. That'd be great. We'd love to have that.
Okay. And then why don't we regroup maybe after the weekend, and we'll come back with the points that I just mentioned that were in the parking lot. And I'll especially have the detailed user licensing, like cost breakdown. If there are things that you want to see, like I said, like a more customized, relevant demo of this is exactly what it's going to look like when you turn it on, we're happy to do that. But I think that the best next step here is I'll send you the recording of it. You can have a look at it over the weekend. Maybe make some notes on things that you want a deeper dive in. And then Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, we can connect and go over the detailed user count from your end. So who's all just using, who lives in Zendesk today, who lives in Salesforce that would need this functionality. And then we'll come with the worst case pricing on all of the items that we discussed today. And then look at what this project will actually cost. And then look at the cost justification associated with it. How does that sit with you guys?
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have your calendars open right now by any chance?
I do. Yep.
I do too.
All right. How does the 30th, so next Tuesday, anytime after 1:30 work for you guys?
Yeah,
I'm pretty open after 1:30 Eastern.
that works for me.
Okay. I'll put in a calendar invite for 1:30 to 2:30. I don't think we'll need that full hour, but just in case. And yeah, we'll come back with all of the parking lot items, the pricing, the licensing, and just basically go from there. And look out for the recording of today's demo too. I'll send that your way as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Any final thoughts, comments, concerns before we jump off today's call?
I just really appreciate the way you guys prepared for this. I know it takes a lot of time, so we just appreciate the focus on, you know, our needs and, you know, our business and how it's unique. And so thanks for doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a pleasure. No, thanks for giving us the opportunity. We really do appreciate it. And hopefully we can get down to a place where moving to Service Cloud would be a win for both of us.
Let's see where it goes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the long weekend. We'll chat next week.
Okay. Have a good
Great.
Memorial Day.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye.